Over the past decade, the Middle East and North Africa have experienced events that have resulted in a paradigm shift in geopolitics. From conflicts in Syria, Iraq, Libya, and Yemen to a wave of normalization, the geopolitical sands of the region are constantly shifting. We sit down with the director of the Emirates Policy Center, Ebtesam Al-Ketbi, to discuss normalization, the Abraham Accords, and the UAE's influence throughout the region. I'm Yusuf Aram, and you're watching One on One. Ebtesam Al-Ketbi, thank you for joining me on the sidelines of the TRT World Forum. Now, there's been a lot of paradigm shifts, not only in the Gulf, but in the broader Middle East, the MENA region. One of those paradigm shifts was the Abraham Accords. Now, it's been about 1 to 2 years since the Abraham Accords have been signed and implemented. We've seen a change in administration in the United States, change in administration in Israel. How do you evaluate the Abraham Accords now, a little more than 2 years on?
Well, look, Yusuf, in the beginning Abraham Accord, the idea that this region is fed of wars, conflicts, bloodsheds, and needs to normalize with each other. And the Palestinian issues, it's always in the core of that environment, in the core of that conflict in the region. So the idea that this region lived Jews and Muslim and Christians, all other minorities in terms of language or sect or religion or whatever, lived in peace many years before the states came. So, and all of them lived in peace. So this idea that there are many things in this region, especially in the Arab region, can bring us together. And there is a base, which is the Abrahamic values and religion. We all belong to Abraham. So the values that we have to have that kind of de-escalation based on that we all have should work on the same values.
Now, when we take a step back from the Abraham Accords, we're seeing a bigger regional convergence as well, beginning with the Alula summit, ending of the blockade against Qatar. We're seeing a rapprochement between Turkey and the UAE, Turkey and Saudi. There has been correspondence with Egypt and Turkey as well. What's triggering this grand regional convergence right now? Because it's happening all simultaneously. We're seeing Israel, Turkey, UAE, Saudi Arabia, all at the time reading similar signs and now moving to normalize relations after almost a decade of polarization.
Look, I mean, the Middle East has many conflicts and wars, and plagued by that tension always. So there is time for de-escalation. Now everybody is tired, and there is a momentum that we cross the Arab Spring, and with its all what happening, the outcomes. And so we need to move to a new era where we can find, we build on what can bring us together, and we keep our differences aside, okay? We shouldn't look to ourselves. We should look to the new generation, and they are going to inherit this region. And we don't want them to inherit it with its war and conflicts. UAE looks that, and it's a new version of foreign policy, this is a momentum to build and to make the formula win-win. And the only things, the approach should be the economy. So that's why, and its 10 principles put the economy first and politics serve the economy.
You mentioned Iran. Now, during the Arab Spring, a period of polarization for the Middle East and conflicts in Iraq, Syria, Yemen as well, Iran was able to benefit from these voids and fill these voids. We saw a lot of Iranian expansion. Many countries viewed this as a national security concern. There were attacks against sovereigns as well. The UAE, Saudi Arabia, the Aramco attack was a major eye-opening moment. How do you view the security situation right now with Iran? Are they still a major national security threat? Can they be sat down at the diplomatic table and negotiated with going forward?
Well, look, the threat is still a threat because we have arsenal of ballistic missiles and the drones on the other side, and if there is no balance and an imbalance continue between the two shores of the Gulf, of course, there will be a threat. Iran is still a threat because of its possessing the nuclear program, possessing the ballistic missiles and the drones, and of course, its militias and proxies in the region. Now, sitting on the table, and this is, we have seen that with the European, with the American, when they were negotiating JCPOA, that Iran puts its own condition that we will not be back to the 2015, and we will start a new agreement with the new conditions from the Iranian side. So the Iranian, yes, will sit, but will negotiate issues what is benefiting them. Like, okay, let us negotiate economic cooperation, regional cooperation in terms of economic, but they will not negotiate their ballistic missiles or their drones or their nuclear program. So this is, will stay there always, okay? Because the nature of a regime is a military regime. And the regime thinks that he's under a threat, and this is legitimized what he is developing from the arms. But on the other side also, this threat, which the Iranian claim that the Israeli, the American troops in the region, when they are threatened, their retaliation against us. It's not against the Israelis, it's not against the American. So if still the nature of regime, it's a revolution, not a normal state, respect the international law. If the Iran did not move to be a normal state like others, we will still have this dilemma is there.
In this regional security mechanism, do you envision Israel and Türkiye being part of it as well?
I do. I look at it from a wider angle. And I was telling in my panel half an hour ago that Turkey has more chances and opportunity in the region and to be engaged with the region because first it uses its soft power more rather than vis-a-vis Iran if I'm talking. The Israeli, they can be, but you know, Yusuf, what's the problem now? We have kind of extremist government, and this might be endanger the Abraham Accord vitality. Netanyahu signed that, and he will not. But there is an extremist in that they don't look to the Palestinian as to have their, so the two-state solution, and we have violence and so we are talking about security. Now, here the role of UAE and Turkey, how to save, and Turkey can part of that Abraham Accord as well, and to jump and to be part, and will help. Turkey has more relation with the region a long time ago, since the Ottoman, and with its soft power, it's more welcomed. in the region. The ideology was a problem, and I don't think now the ideology exists in its relation with the region, which it helps more. And it is a stable country and open and has not so many problems with the other world, okay? Especially now with the after Ukrainian war that can bridge between the West and the East and can be part of that. This is need also to work for that kind of like NACAB summit, okay? We need NACAB summit too with Turkish presence in it. And it will widen the security range in the region.
How do you view Xi Jinping's visit to Riyadh as Chinese engagement with the Gulf, and what does that mean for the Gulf in the future?
Look, China, US is an important partner in terms of an important ally for our security and military cooperation. But at the same time, China is our strategic partnership in terms of economy. And we don't look to China as a threat. The Americans, they are looking to China as a threat or as a competitor. Now, and we don't want to be engaged in that competition or to be pulled in that or take side vis-a-vis other side. We want to have a good relation with all parties in the world, if I would say. The Gulfists also look to their national interest, and they are not going to exchange their national interest with the others, and they don't want to be followers for others. They want to be partners.
We have definitely entered a big era of transformation in the region. Ebtesam Al-Ketbi, Director, Emirates Policy Center, thank you for joining me on One on One.
Thank you, Yusuf. My pleasure.